Welcome to This Explainer. I'm really thrilled to have you here today because we're unpacking a story that honestly sounds like a Hollywood thriller, but is completely, terrifyingly true. We're talking about the mystery of a 2026 cruise ship outbreak. We're going to uncover the biology, the history, and the harsh reality of a deadly, invisible threat that literally brought a luxury vessel to its knees. So get ready, because the facts here are absolutely fascinating.
Okay, let's step right into our medical mystery. Picture this, it's April 2026. A luxury cruise ship departs from Ushuaia, Argentina. You've got about 150 people on board from 23 different countries, setting off on this beautiful, once-in-a-lifetime voyage to Antarctica and the remote islands of the South Atlantic. And for the first few days, everything's perfect, right? People are mingling, enjoying the parties, completely unaware that their dream vacation is about to turn into an absolute nightmare. A silent killer is already on board.
Now look at how rapidly and terrifyingly this crisis actually escalated. Just 5 days into the trip, a 70-year-old Dutch passenger comes down with what seems like a mild fever and a headache. A few days later, he can't breathe. By April 11th, he's dead on the ship, and nobody knows why. But the cruise just continues. 2 weeks later, the ship docks near Africa. His grieving wife leaves with the body, but as she's about to fly home to Amsterdam, she collapses at the airport and dies on April 26th. By May 2nd, a German woman on the ship has also died, and total panic sets in. The World Health Organization rushes tests. They finally name the culprit as the Hanta virus, and this ghost ship is finally allowed to dock in Tenerife, Spain on May 10.
Section 1. Biology of a killer, the hantavirus.
To understand what happened, we need to look at the virus itself. The hantavirus actually attacks the human body in two distinctly different but equally devastating ways, depending entirely on where you are in the world. Over in Asia and Europe, the virus causes HFRS, which aggressively attacks the kidneys, leading to failure and severe internal bleeding. But over in the Americas, the virus triggers HPS, and that's the exact syndrome happening on our cruise ship. It causes the victim's lungs to rapidly fill with fluid, which tragically leads to suffocation.
But here is the most crucial and frankly terrifying detail: the mortality rate. Depending on the strain, up to 50% of infected individuals will not survive. That's a coin toss. And this gets even scarier when you realize that despite scientists knowing about this virus for decades, there's absolutely zero FDA or WHO-approved vaccine. No proven antiviral cure at all. Doctors can really only provide supportive care while your immune system has to fight the battle entirely on its own.
Section 2. A global footprint, tracing historical outbreaks. So let's look at how weather, geography, and viral mutations have triggered major historical events with this bug. Back during the Korean War in the 1950s, 3,000 U.S. soldiers suddenly fell ill with this mysterious bleeding disease that carried a 15% mortality rate. It actually took 30 years to figure out it was a rodent-borne virus near the Hanta River. Fast forward to 1993 in the U.S., healthy young people in the Navajo Nation were dying suddenly. It was tribal elders who provided the key clue. El Niño rains had caused a massive harvest of pine nuts, which made the local mice population explode, bringing the virus right to humans.
Now, you might be thinking this is just a distant threat confined to the Americas or war zones, right? Well, for a long time, scientists thought India was completely free of hantavirus. But a study from Vellore, Tamil Nadu, proved otherwise. Finding antibodies in 4% of the general population tested means the virus is a silent presence right in our own backyards, quietly infecting folks who just happen to live or work near rodents. Okay, this right here is the vital clue that breaks our cruise ship case wide open. Until 1996, the golden rule of hantavirus was that it could strictly only jump from a rodent to a human. But an outbreak in southern Argentina changed the game entirely. It revealed the Andes strain. This specific mutation gave the virus a horrifying new ability. It could spread directly from human to human through close, prolonged physical contact. And get this, it's the only hantavirus strain known to do this.
Section 3. The Big Reveal, solving the cruise ship crisis.
So, armed with that history, let's look back at the ship. This was the absolute biggest question baffling authorities. If this virus comes from rodents, how on earth does it spontaneously get on an isolated luxury cruise ship out in the middle of the ocean? Let's retrace the precise moments before the ship departed Argentina. Well, here is your ground zero. And it's a tragic irony, really. A simple, innocent nature tour brought the very first victim into direct contact with the virus. That 70-year-old Dutchman, the first to die on board,
visited a landfill known to be heavily infested with rodents just days before the cruise. He breathed in the viral particles, specifically that deadly human-to-human Andes strain prevalent in Argentina, completely unaware of what he'd just inhaled.
Now, the whole timeline of this outbreak hinges on a fascinating yet scary biological quirk, an extremely narrow one-day transmission window. Unlike COVID-19, where someone can be contagious for weeks, a person infected with the Andes strain of Hanta virus is typically only contagious to other humans for about a single day during the early onset of their symptoms.
And here is where the terrible timing really hits you. If their bird-watching tour had been scheduled just 2 or 3 days earlier, the infectious window would have completely closed before they ever even set foot on the deck. It would have entirely prevented this tragedy. But because they boarded immediately, that single day of high contagion happened while sharing tight quarters, dining halls, and prolonged close contact with the other passengers. The virus jumped, the chain reaction started, and just like that, the mystery of the ghost ship is solved.
Section 4. The million-dollar question. Is this the next pandemic?
While the cruise ship story is undeniably horrifying, let's look at the facts. There are structural limitations that dramatically reduce this virus's ability to sweep across the globe like a traditional pandemic. First, it's not airborne in the way COVID or the flu is. You don't need a 14-day quarantine. Transmission requires sharing a bed, providing intimate care, or exchanging bodily fluids over a prolonged period. Add in that tiny one-day transmission window, and you can see why the World Health Organization officially categorizes the global pandemic risk as low. But we absolutely cannot just ignore this threat. Remember the 1993 Navajo Nation outbreak we talked about? Shifting climate patterns, specifically intense El Niño years, cause heavy rains. More rain means more vegetation, which means a massive food supply for rodents. Their populations explode, and the localized risk of hantavirus spilling over into humans just skyrockets. Our environment is constantly changing, and the virus adapts right along with it.
Section 5. Prevention is your best weapon.
Since we know a cure doesn't exist, you have to effectively break the transmission chain at its source by just avoiding the rodents. It's actually pretty straightforward. Seal structural gaps in your home. If you're cleaning out a dusty old attic or a warehouse, throw on an N95 mask and some gloves to prevent breathing in aerosolized virus particles from dried droppings. Keep your food sealed. Manage your trash properly. You're basically turning your awareness into an impenetrable shield.
So, we've cracked the case of the ghost ship today, tracing a deadly pathogen all the way from a landfill in Argentina to an isolated vessel lost at sea. But as weather patterns shift and rodent populations boom, we've really got to ask ourselves, what else is out there? Let this explainer serve as a powerful wake-up call to stay curious, stay informed, and always keep a watchful eye on the natural world evolving around us. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep learning.